Okay, so the book I read is Life of Pi by Jan Martel, which I didn't know was Canadian until the beginning of class when you told us, like at the very beginning of the semester. So that's cool. And so I have this page thingy that I filled out. And so my question was, describe the character/person who changed the most from the beginning to the end of the book. Explain the change and what caused it, and use the backside if necessary. So in the beginning, I put, in my opinion, Richard Parker changed the most. He began as a strong and regal tiger, but eventually being on the boat made him weaker. He used to be the dominant alpha male until Pi showed him who's boss and trained him and made him a loving character and grafted together two unlikely people to be friends. So Richard Parker isn't a people, but a person. But then I saw this quote, and it was like, it is a simple and brutal truth. A person can get used to anything, even to killing. And then I thought about how Pi was a vegetarian, and he changed his whole life, and that he is no longer a vegetarian, or, I mean, for that little bit of time, he couldn't be a vegetarian because he had to survive, and he had to fight for everything, and he was really just like a guy on the sidelines back in India, but on the boat he really had to take charge and do everything himself. And so I suppose they both changed a lot. And I don't know which one changed the most. So yeah, there's that. And then the author's purpose for that was to show that even the strongest need to learn how to adapt to survive and become stronger in different ways, like relying on others. So Richard Parker had to learn to rely on Pi by him getting him food and letting him have water and stuff like that. So he had to just start to trust him, which is what happened. And then I put the intended audience is this book is written for young adults and up. So I find that like the talk about religion in the very beginning of the book is more for older audiences because it's what word am I looking for? It's like more mature, it's meant for like older people to understand because it's very like it could go both ways. You know what I mean? That's hard to say. Anyway. And then on the back I have my literal, inferential, and personal questions. And so for my literal I have, why is the carnivorous island significant or insignificant to the story? And I said that it was significant because it lights a fire inside Pi. He begins to understand that he cannot stay there on the island or he will surely die. The island is really meant to show him that there's still good things out there, but this isn't the only good thing. At night it changes to being that carnivorous island that I called it. But during the day he gets food and sustenance and all this stuff, and he can live there during the day. But it just shows him that there's still good things in the world, and it gives him everything that he needs to live and to carry on his journey. It gives him that last little bit of hope and faith that he needs. It's basically like God's gift to him. And so there's that. And then for inferential, I have described the relationship between Pi and Richard Parker from the beginning to the end of the story. What caused these changes? So in the beginning, I put that Pi is like the submissive one trying to stay alive while living with like a 400-pound tiger. However, halfway through, he realizes he can't really stay like that and that he has to like take over and really run the show. I mean, he's feeding him, he has to feed himself. He's living on this tiny little raft attached to the boat that he can't go on for longer than a few minutes, without, Richard Parker coming out and eating him alive. So he's really walking on tiptoes while trying to stay alive in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, which he can no longer do. So he realizes this and he trains Richard Parker and takes the dominance, and there's still there's less fear in Pi because he knows like he's either going to die in this boat or he's going to die at the tiger's hand or he's going to live, and so he's fighting for it, and he's no longer scared to die because the only other option is to die or to take those chances to live. And so he does that, and then I find in the end they're friends, and Pi sees him as a friend, and he's a tiger, of course, so I don't really know what he feels, but when they get off the boat, he stops before he goes in the jungle, but he doesn't look back, I don't think, and he still he waits though. Like, he's going to look back and, something stops him there. For some reason, he stops instead of just keeping walking. And I don't know if maybe he was tired or if, he wanted to look back, but he knew it wouldn't go over well. So he just went away into the jungle. But I just think that they were friends at the end of this life-changing journey that they had together. And that's kind of beautiful to me, And then I have personal. Okay. And it's what would you have done in this situation? I probably would have died trapped on a lifeboat with a fully grown tiger in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, I would be dead. With my whole family have died, I would be heartbroken, torn up, destroyed. I would what would I live for? That's how I would feel. I would have struggled with all of the survival skills. I don't know. I can swim. Swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, probably not going to help me. I don't know how to fish. I suppose Pi didn't really know how to fish either. He would I would learn eventually, but it would take me longer, I think, because I come from such a privileged country where we don't, learning these kind of things, you don't have to if you don't want to. It's not really, a thing where you're going to be stuck in the middle of a lifeboat with a 450-pound tiger. I can't see that happening, but I would have just been in such a negative mindset that I don't know if I would be able to survive and be able to really, grasp onto the survival skills that I would need in time to live. And then, so I have a few quotes that talk about, Richard Parker and how they were kind of friends and stuff like that, talking about my inferential question. So I have, this is Pi talking, obviously. I've never forgotten him. Dare say I miss him? I do. I miss him. I still see him in my dreams. They are nightmares mostly, but nightmares tinged with love. Such is strangeness of the human heart. And so, even if Richard Parker doesn't really see Pi as a really good friend, or even friends at all, they saved each other's lives. But Pi definitely feels the impact of it even later down the years, because this part is from when he's talking to the author in his own home and giving the interview. That's from that. So I think that I don't know where I'm trying to go. I think that it just really shows that it made a difference, and that from the beginning of the book, when he was really scared of him and now he considers him a friend, I just think that's really cool. And then I have another one about that, and he was like, I had to stop hoping so much that a ship would rescue. Oh, this is from the personal one. And it was I had to stop hoping so much that a ship would rescue me. I should not count on outside help. Survival had to start with me. In my experience, a castaway's worst mistake is to hope too much and to do too little. And so I found that probably would have been me on that boat. If I was in his situation, I would have hoped way too much and done too little. And, you can't do that, apparently, obviously. And I don't know what I would have done because I've never been in that situation, but I can't see it going well. I like to consider myself a fighter, but, there's just so many negative things happening around. I don't know if I would have been able to do it. So there's that. And then I have a little bonus quote that I found. It's about Canada, so I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. And it says, I love Canada. It is a great country. Too much... Let me try that one more time. I love Canada. It is a great country, much too cold for good sense, inhabited by compassionate, intelligent people with bad hairdos. And I just thought that was kind of cute. I'd throw that in there on the end, Yeah. Oh, I also rated it a 7. And I did that because the beginning, it was hard to grasp on all of the religion parts of the book, because I'm not religious and I don't know. The only religion really practiced here is Christianity and Catholicism. I don't know, but not really the Hindu or the Islam religion. So it was hard to really understand that. So when they talked about it, I was really trying to understand. Also, I found that when he was on the boat closer to the end, it just dragged on, and he had been there forever. And I understand, days were going by that we, things we had to see, but she could have just fast forwarded a little bit. I just found that it was long and it dragged out. But I really liked the book otherwise, and it was really interesting. And the way the author writes just really makes me like the book a lot. And so here's my little, my signature on my academic honesty thing. So there you go, right there. And I think that's probably all I got. Yeah, so thanks, Simmonds, for letting me do this. I will send you the link. You'll probably already have it by this. I don't know why I'm still talking. I don't know how to end this. Well, thanks. See you next week. Bye.